let's transition into your work. I do something on my YouTube channel where I want people to experience and listen to different careers and how they got there. You know what I mean? Maybe because your process was different than others. And a lot of people think that there's just one way to get to certain things, but no, there's different ways to get to different careers. And you're very successful in your career and you're doing very well. And from what you've told me, you're heading in a really good direction. So if you can tell the people how you got into being a project engineer,
Yeah.
and then eventually maybe what steps are going to be there afterwards, and then what's your plan and things like that. So how did you become that, and how were you able to get there?
So my kind of road is kind of weird because I got a computer science degree from Georgia State.
Right.
I really thought, and even then I didn't know what I wanted to do once I got into school. I thought I wanted accounting. That kind of moved around. I did economics, switched my major to economics for one semester. That really wasn't it. And computer science, I thought that was figuring. I love math, not accounting math, but just math overall.
Yeah.
So kind of one of those. My mom, she's always pushed me to get a degree. But even while I was in school, I started as a painter. I know you had the same experience.
Yeah,
you did some painting.
Shout out to the painting gang.
So I did work in the field a couple of years, and I get the opportunity to work in the office. I did some estimating for a couple of years, about 3 or so. Then get promoted to project manager there. That was kind of my step in knowing a little bit in the construction side.
Right.
I think since I was small, I've always kind of enjoyed the building side, and that doesn't have to be just construction. It could be mechanical, just seeing something from nothing to something.
From the ground up.
That's always been something interesting for me. And I got the opportunity a little bit past COVID. I had I definitely want to take a different step in life. I thought, painting is great, but I feel like I just need something else in life. What's my next step?
Right.
I think the bigger picture for me was I wanted to stay in the construction. I didn't want to, I did do some research, kind of see, hey, is computer science for me?
Right.
I did look in that, and I really wasn't comfortable with it. I did some website designs, and it just wasn't it.
Right.
So I wanted to stay in the construction kind of field. I did an introductory, did some interviews for project engineer, and it's for construction wise. So I do work. I'm a project engineer for a construction company, general contractor in Atlanta. And at least for me, I got the opportunity to get a couple of interviews. Fortunately, I was able to join the team with them. And it's been 2 years, a little bit over 2 years now.
Yeah.
Pushing 2 years in a month.
I remember when you were making that transition,
Yeah.
and you told me how hard it was because you were stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I think that's something important to mention.
And I think kind of that's it's you have to see in a bigger picture. Hey, I'm comfortable where I'm at. What changed me was, where do I see myself in 5 years?
Right.
What do I see myself doing? Is it a cycle? For me, every day is different. Essentially, everything's kind of the same in the scope of work, but everything's different, and
Gotcha.
I love that. So at least for me, I got the opportunity, and so far it's been great.
Right.
I've loved it. Wouldn't change a thing for the world. I've had to change some things.
Yeah.
Get out of my comfort zone. My schedule. It's not. I love to chill. Now you got to work a little bit more, but in the bigger picture, it does pay off.
Yeah, because you're working towards something
Yep.
even better. Because you told me that after being a project engineer, you will be able to qualify for becoming a project manager,
assistant project manager,
and then so assistant project manager, and then
you get project manager, and then there's the senior project manager.
Okay, cool.
And then there's like VP level and everything.
So there's growth.
Yes.
And I think that's what matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to be in a place that
for me, I want to understand, hey, what's the structure to get there? What do I need to get there?
Yeah.
I'm willing to put in the work.
Right.
It's just I want to see that plan kind of lay it out. And I think overall, and I would say after 21, it's like, there's some room for growth. I think after 25, I kind of grew up a little bit.
Right.
And trying to understand, hey, like, what am I going to do in life?
Right.
I want to be successful. How do I be successful?
Yeah.
And that road is different for everyone.
Correct.
Obviously, I feel like my job, I love doing my job. I don't feel like it's a job.
Right.
But I love doing it.
That's how it's like you love it, because if you don't feel like it's a job, then it's like,
You get those times where it's like, man, I'm tired, but you love it.
but you love
Once
it.
you're there, you love it.
That's awesome, man. Another thing that you mentioned that I thought stood out to me, because I think this maybe even applies to both of us, but like even the fact that you got a degree and now that you thought you were gonna be in, and life had other plans for you,
Mhm.
and I think that's something important to mention, because people, and I've seen either friends and family, like they get this notion of like whatever degree you have to be in, and if you don't work there, like there's like that pressure, and you're
Yeah.
like, nah, man, like if that degree was able to open doors for you to
Yeah.
become in something else that God had planned for you, you better take that 100 times out of 100 times.
Yeah.
Don't be feeling bummed out about it. And the fact that you have a degree, especially in computer science, like that's really something you can fall back on.
Yeah.
Like if nothing works out, and
There's a backup plan.
it's such a good backup plan. Are
Yep.
you kidding me? That's really good. Like the you have a really good chance of not ever being in a place where you used to be when you were like a broke college student.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The
Like
struggles.
struggles and stuff.
It literally had $100 for the week.
That's how
Figure out
we
how
made
you
it
got
last.
gas and food.
And we made
And
it
life is good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great backup plan to have. But since you had experience somewhere else when it came to painting,
Yeah.
and the in and outs of painting, that opened another door for you to even get interviewed at a
Yeah.
company. And even though I'm assuming you didn't know everything about construction,
I still don't. But you learn.
right?
You're not born knowing everything.
Yeah.
But as long as you're willing to put in the work, doors are open.
Yeah, and I think that's another important fact that I want to even get into. Let's say that door is open for you for that interview, right?
Yeah.
It's the way you carry yourself with a little bit of knowledge, with your charisma, with how people, like when you interview, how they precede you, and like what kind of potential do you have. That's important when you go into interviews, and people see you for the first time, and even though they know, because they know better than you, that there are some things you don't know, or maybe a lot of things you don't know, they're still willing to give you that chance.
Yeah.
Because of what they saw when the interview. Like again, a lot of people want to have all these qualities to qualify,
Yeah.
which is perfect. Like I get it. But sometimes even when you don't have that, you can make it up somewhere else,
Yeah.
right? You can make it by your work ethic. How hard do you work? Do you show that? Do you let them know I've done this and this and that? And also, even though I don't know, I'm a teachable person. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to work, and I'm willing to show you. That goes farther than just you saying like, hey, this is what I have, blah, blah, blah. But when you get into the interview and when you meet them, nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like people, but we're human beings, we vibe up in emotions, right?
Yeah.
Especially people who do a lot of interviews, usually they would see through BS.
Yeah.
Because of so many people, like the
Yeah.
spec, right? And they will know who's like, okay, this person doesn't know it all, but I feel like they can do something with it.
I think it's give me the opportunity. And again, we're not born knowing everything,
Right.
but at the same time, I'm teachable.
Correct.
If you're teachable and you're willing to put in the work, that goes a long way.
Who do we give a shout out to? Who do we give a shout out to, ever?
To God.
Yo, amen, brother. That's cool, man. And I think that's very cool though. Being teachable, even saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta get a shout out. Also shout out to Selena, because she taught that word I've been using it in all my interviews, and it's worked so far. So, that's it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So anything else that you feel like that you would maybe you could tell somebody who's trying to get into project managing,
Yeah.
or who wants to be in that field of construction, any advice that you have for them, or maybe something they can prepare for? I know you had a different route,
Yeah.
but you basically got to that point, and now you're staying there in that realm, and probably gonna grow in that situation too.
I think kind of like the road to take for that, or your typical, is you go to school and you do, what is it, construction science. You get a degree in construction science.
Well, that's the thing.
So essentially, you do construction science, you intern with all these general contractors, and then you sign on. You can either work in the field, end up being like a superintendent, which is like a field project manager,
Okay.
or you work in the office. That's your typical. Now, I will say, I think I am lucky and I am blessed to be. Granted, I do have some experience,
Yeah.
But I think there were some doors and opportunities that I was given.
Right.
That's like, I was shocked myself. I'm not saying I didn't doubt myself, but it's like, I think at least for me, he was paving the way for me, opened these doors up for me. And I kind of displayed, hey, this is what I can do. And I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to learn
Yeah.
and, be what I'm saying that I can do.
Right.
So even at a young age, we definitely think that we can do all this and that. When reality hits, it's so much
It's so
different
much
to what
different.
we learned
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah.
But I do think it's, I think in that it's kind of who you know, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's the bigger picture is be teachable.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. I think pay attention to a lot of things. People want to learn a lot of things, but at the same time, it's just listen. And with one of the bigger things, at least that I've seen, is great leaders are hard to find.
Wow.
I would say my boss, he's a perfect person because he listens and the way he talks and everything, he can lead. I honestly I could say in my team, my company, I love where I'm at.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think, I go there in the morning, I love it, but it's just the people there. If they're willing to give you that opportunity, make the best out of it.
Right.
There are many ways to get there, but I think it's just actually putting in the work.
Right. Got you. Do you feel like there are any qualities that you need to have? So you mentioned leadership and like particular qualities that you need to have to get into that field, or well, you mentioned too, teachability, leadership, maybe anything else? Or
I think it's caring about, at least in that, it's you want to care about others.
Gotcha.
There's that compassion.
Got you.
Somewhat in a sense, because you're doing this to serve people.
Right.
You're serving one way or the other.
Gotcha.
But I think it's, why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do this?
Right. So ask those questions.
Yes.
That's good. And, even when you talked about, I don't want people to miss this because we've grown in our faith a lot and we're not perfect. We're trying to, get to a good spot in life. But remember right now you mentioned that you prayed about your job and God put you in the spot. So for the people out there that don't know, we had a man small group, I think about a year and some change ago. It lasted. We went hard for about a straight year. We met almost every week. But let me tell you something cool about that group. There was a lot of men, and all of us were very imperfect in one way or another. And you know what happened though? Even though we were very imperfect and we knew that we have so much flaws, we would at least show up every single week. Like if we didn't show up, it would be for like a really good reason. Or if people missed, it would be for like good reasons. But that constant group of men that we had, we were showing up every single week with a passion, with a fire to try to learn, and to try to get better. You know what I mean? And the point I say all of that is because we prayed every time that one of us were either going through interviews or try to get job promotions or maybe switching jobs or maybe praying about where to go, like for God to open doors. Every time we prayed and every time we prayed over that somebody, everybody either got the promotion, either got a new job, or God guided them to another opportunity where those doors were open that landed a new job. Every single time. We didn't fail one time. And to this day, we continue to go in that route, even though we don't have the man small group anymore. But I remember that we were making like a joke, like, yo, we're like 5 for 5. We haven't missed. But it wasn't even us. God hasn't missed. But we're like 6 for 6, 7 for 7. And it went to like 12 for 12, 15 for 15. Like we were just getting every time we would pray about that. And I think it has a lot to say, not about us, but about sometimes when we want something from God, he just wants you to meet halfway. He wants to see your effort because that's something you can control, your effort. And the fact that we were showing up, we were genuine. We came in knowing and accepting that we're very flawed, but we still came to him and like prayed about it and asked for guidance. And to be honest, I feel like that's one of the reasons you got, a great situation. And a lot of us, all of us, like we feel like we've been in great situations for that. So that's something like a good testimony to have, for that specific group. I feel like we did really, really good,
Yeah.
good things. You know what I mean? That was good. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's I think that's very important for people to learn and things you do. And if you have anything else, just let me know through the ways and stuff. And